welcome to this special Women's Day interview series for Newsline. I am Jyothi Jha, and today I will be in conversation with hairstylist and writer Ayesha Devitre. So I'll start with a very basic question, like what inspired you to write? Like since when have you been writing? Today you're writing for movies, but there must be a first time when you wrote something. So when was that?
Actually, I am actually a hairstylist by profession. I started my career out in doing hairstyling. I first worked in a salon, then I worked in movies, and that's when I actually met Shakun Batra, who became a friend of mine on my first film that I did hair for, which was called Jaane Tu Ya Jaane Na. I had done hair for the whole film. And I met Shakun, who was just a second AD on that film at that time. And he wanted to direct. And he and me just became friends. And I love storytelling. I didn't have any professional training in it, but I loved the idea of just telling stories. I love making people laugh. That's my thing. So yes, that's how Shakun and me met. He didn't have a writer. I had no professional training, but he thought I was funny and he thought I could tell stories well. So he and me were two children. I mean, it was more than a decade ago, where we started writing together. Our first draft of Ek Main Ek Tu was awful. And after that, we worked on it. And we were blessed that we got a great opportunity with Dharma Productions for our first, and there's been no turning back.
So this was the first time that you wrote. There was no history of you having a passion in writing.
Not at all. I love storytelling. And funnily so, storytelling is writing at the end of the day. But I had never really had a passion in putting pen to paper till I met Shakun, and he kind of made me realize my passion with that.
Okay, so was Shakun the first person that you went with your script, like whatever you wrote? Like, was he the first person?
I didn't go to him with any script. He and me wrote a script together. We ideated together. We were two little children who were thinking of characters and stories, and we got inspired by strange things. And I read loads of as an exercise, what I would do is I would take off scripts from the internet and I would read them and I would watch movies. And then I would see how different a script was from a film. I started understanding structure by just reading one script after another. And yeah, it was a process. I think my first film, we were kids. That's why if you see our storylines are quite simple with Ek Main Aur Ek Tu. It's very simple romantic comedy with a simple film. And then with Kapoor and Sons, we went one level higher with the complexity of the characters in the film. And with Gehraiyaan, it was definitely a lot of learning and a lot of work that went into it.
So for you, it was never a difficult thing. Like it just happened. You guys were talking and it just happened and you happened to write something.
Ask me about my struggle. And I feel so privileged to say that I don't come from a film background, neither does Shakun. And we were just lucky, we worked hard and sometimes right place, right time, and things just kind of click, So, yes.
So, but in your stories, like you said, Ek Main Aur Ek Tu or Kapoor and Sons, now Gehraiyaan, I think there's one common connection, where, the main people, like the lead actors who are, in Ek Main Aur Ek Tu, they were in a romantic relationship. In Kapoor and Sons, they were siblings. Now in Gehraiyaan, they are cousins. So it's always like, there is something common, like they are close to each other, but then they have done something wrong to each other for which they are guilty.
The thing is that I love writing characters that are kind of flawed. I enjoy writing them because I feel all of us have flaws in us. Some are heightened, some are not so heightened, but I feel everyone is gray. And it's just a degree of grayness in each person that varies. And I think when we wrote Ek Main Aur Ek Tu, we were kind of kids. So our take on life was also a bit childish. So the characters were cleaner characters. We hadn't seen life, so automatically the characters hadn't seen as much life, But as we kind of grew up and we saw more life, I think we started to layer our characters more. So I think the idea behind it is never to write characters that are connected, but doing things, it's to write human characters. For me to kind of flesh out characters that have human qualities and traits, that's what's kind of important.
So where do you get your inspirations from? Like, how do you get, like before starting to write or developing a story, there must be one liner that you must be thinking, right? Okay, I am inspired, I should.
It depends. Sometimes it comes from Shakun, sometimes it comes from me. What I love doing is I love writing characters. That's I love, like when we thought of Kapoor and Sons, We love the idea. First, we thought we'll make it a brother-sister story. Then slowly, while writing it and discussing it, we felt it was better if they were from the same gender. We very often have a germ of an idea. By the time the film gets written, it could be something totally different from where we started. So it's about building on an idea, creating an idea. We don't write quickly. We take very long to write because we spend a lot of time, even before we put pen to paper. Shakun and me spend days and months just talking. We discuss stories, and where you say, where do I get inspired from? I think for me, more than books or films, I think I get inspired by real life. I look around me and there could be a trait of a person, and that I may not be writing about that person, but I can pick up a tiny trait and then I can imagine it to be a lot of other things. So for me, I think I get inspired from people around me.
Okay, so what was your inspiration for, Gehraiyaan? Who started it? Was it your idea or was it Shakun's idea?
Shakun wanted to write a film about infidelity, but he didn't want it to only be about infidelity. He wanted to have infidelity as one of the layers of the film. When we were chatting, we both, now, to be honest, who wrote what, it becomes very difficult. We joke about it that we should sometimes write down and sign on it so we don't argue about whose idea was what. But he wanted something with infidelity. I love the idea of cousins because I felt like it complicated it a little bit more. And there's a lot of more gray to it when people are kind of related or they know each other. And it does happen. It's frowned upon. We don't talk about it. It makes us uncomfortable, but it does happen. And I think that's the space we wanted to go into, where we can reflect on things that do happen, but they make people uncomfortable. So no one wants to talk about them or watch it or hear about it. But and at the same time, we didn't want to pass a judgment on it, because I feel like infidelity is something which is so personal to the people who are in it that we are no one as filmmakers or the audience to judge it. So we wanted to make a film where we let each person use their own moral compass and decide how they want to view the film, how they want to view the characters, whether they want to empathize, sympathize, or not at all. That's completely up to the audience.
Okay, but I think you were really lucky with your journey because you never even thought of being who you are today, a writer. But do you think otherwise, the ones who actually aspire to be a writer, there are so many passionate who from a very young age want to write, and they have been writing and they want to get where you are today, basically. So do you think it is the opportunities in filmmaking industry, like film industry, is equal for both the genders? Or do you think that women have to struggle a little more?
I think that I myself don't like to think of us as a weaker sex. I think that if you have a story to tell, you should tell it, not think whether you're a woman or a man. I think that today, with the kind of exposure out there and the kind of opportunities out there, it's not like it was 10 years ago. Today, with OTT platforms opening up, the kind of content out there, people are dying for good content. And whether you're a man or a woman does not matter. You have good content, it will be picked. Sometimes your journey may take longer because, yes, luck does play an important part. Sometimes being at the right place at the right time plays an important part. But eventually, if you're talented and if you're hardworking and if you have the ability to hold on and keep trying, to be honest, I'd like to actually state that people very often ask me why I don't give up my hairstyling career now that I'm also a writer, considering the two such opposite careers. The truth is I do enjoy hairstyling. That is one part of it. But the other part of it is that hairstyling gives me the leeway to write what I want to write. I'm not under pressure to deliver quickly. I can take 3 years to write a script, but I'm still have a source of income coming in from a different pattern or way. So I think with most people, what tends to happen is if you write a script and it doesn't get picked up, and that happens very often, you write 1 script, 2 scripts, 3 scripts, you kind of sometimes lose faith, and you're also running out of time because you wonder how long can I hold on, So then you sometimes give up. So I think my advice would be kind of to hang in there. And if you really want it, find a way to keep trying, because somewhere you'll get your break.
I'm so happy that your work life is so nice. But this question I want to ask that after doing this, always busy with work, and especially when it comes to writing, how exactly do you maintain or balance your work life and family? Because I think writing needs lots of focus, right? And you cannot be distracted.
I have a 7-year-old son. I have a very successful marriage, wonderful friends and a family who've always supported me. I think the secret to my being able to balance it out is that everyone in my family supports me. whether it be my husband or my child. Like when I go to work, my 7-year-old says, "Best of luck, mom, have the best day ever." It's never why you're going to work. It's never, oh, you're leaving me. I think it's important to prioritize your family as well. So for me, I balance it out. I'm very blessed that with hairstyling, I have a great team that goes on film shoots for me. So Sajan, who's my hairstyling partner at work, he goes on, he handles the whole hairstyling aspect for me. So that gives me the leeway to write. And writing is something you can do sitting in your bedroom. So for me, I'm not that person who needs to go away to the hills to write. Not at all. I can sit in my bedroom. I can have my son right next to me while I'm writing. I feel sometimes distractions give you ideas. You don't need to be in solitude to be able to write. Yes, there are times when you need to be alone, and I feel that's what the night time is for. Once my child is asleep and everyone's asleep, I can open my laptop, and it's about putting in a couple of hours a day sometimes. It's not like people assume that writers are sitting on their laptops from morning to night. You don't have that much bandwidth. You give yourself a good 6 hours a day, and I think for me that's more than enough.
Okay, so whenever you start writing for a movie, for example, Gehraiyaan, so when you start writing, do you guys keep an actor in mind already while you are writing it, or do you first, मतलब पहले character बनाते हो and then you choose the right fit for it?
So normally when we're writing, the characters develop as we write. So we may have, let's say, thought of someone while we started writing it, but then as the character developed, you realize, no, this person would not be the right fit and we need to go in another direction. We never write for actors. We write for the film. Our characters must do justice to the movie. So some people say, oh, but in Kapoor and Sons, you gave the actress a smaller role. But at the end of the day, Alia Bhatt did justice to that role. She was brilliant in it. We wrote for the film. And all our characters are written for the film. With Gehraiyaan, it's driven by Deepika. It was never thought of to be driven by X, Y, or Z. But that's how the characters shaped up, and that's how that's the direction we went in.
Okay, so if at all newbie, suppose I want to write, and if I have to ask you for advice or a tip or a suggestion, what would you really tell them? How would you advise them to become who they want to, who want to basically make big into writing? So what would you say to them?
I would say write from your heart. This is somebody who's not had any professional training in writing. You don't need to get obsessed with the rules of writing. There are no rules. You write from your heart, you learn as you go, and you just keep trying. And today there are so many opportunities, like I said, there are so many ways you can, there are scripts that, people have written and left at production houses that have been picked up by people who weren't even known. Delhi Belly, the film, the script was lying in Amir Khan Productions office for like a year or two. And one day someone picked it up, read it, and the film got made. So if you really want to make a film, you want to write a film, you must just write it. Don't get pulled down. Don't start thinking of the nitty-gritties. Don't start thinking of the financials of it. Just write from your heart. And if you write from your heart, your film will find its way.
Okay. So is there any interesting incident that, might want to share that, for example, how do I say, because it's about Women's Day, there is something that you would want to say, there is some experience where you thought that, there are sometimes you don't believe in your work. There are certain phases when suddenly you are, in that dark side, when you don't really believe in yourself, you doubt that what are you even doing. So have you gone through that phase? And if you do go through, or did you ever find somebody, maybe not believing in you or demotivating you?
I don't think it's about people demotivating you. I think in the past few years, the one thing I've learned is that all of us, women in general, I feel like very often we've been conditioned to look for validation outside. You need that pat on the back from other people. And I think over the years, the one thing I've learned is that people take you as seriously as you take yourself. If you believe in yourself, only then will anyone believe in you. So I think the idea of kind of self-validation, I think that is something that every woman needs to focus on. Very often people ask me that in this, it's a male-dominated industry per se. But as a woman, when did I really feel like, oh, there's a difference between me and a man? For me, that difference came about when I had my baby, and I started questioning, will I be able to balance everything out? And it made me think that my husband, who's an amazing father, an amazing husband, and fantastic at his work, never worries about that. It's because men in general have been conditioned to believe that they can do X, Y, Z. But women always tend to worry that they won't be a nurturing enough mother, or they won't be a caring enough wife. But that's not true. You can be it all. And I think that realization, that support that I got from my family and my own validation, saying, you know what, I am enough. I think that is what every woman needs to tell themselves. You know, you don't need that validation from outside. You are enough. And if you want to do something, you can have success in every sphere.
Okay.
No less than a man.
Okay. But then you're also a hairstylist. You know, that was your original profession, basically.
Yes.
This so happened by chance. So there was, you know, not a controversy, there was an issue where women makeup artists or hairstylists had to go through, you know, certain challenges. And I think it was a chaos back then. I think even the case had gone to, you know, courts and...
We had, there was a time when the industry, I think it was the association that didn't allow men to be hairstylists and women to be makeup, or vice versa. I think, men couldn't be hairstylists and women couldn't be makeup artists. But luckily, all that got sorted out as time passed, you know. Sometimes these are just archaic rules that someone makes and then people just start following blindly. And then one day you realize that actually there is no difference. Today, there are movies where you have women cinematographers, you have women writers, women directors. I mean, yes, it is not in the same proportion as men. But I also believe that's because not many women are right now have put themselves out there. But the more we put ourselves out there, the more we will flourish.
Yeah. So was there any, you know, challenges, even as a makeup artist or as a hairstylist, were there any challenges where, you know, again, men were dominating those things? Because usually, agar dekha jaye...
You're not going to like me on Women's Day. I've had no challenges. Touch wood. I've really had like
friends or anybody. I'm talking in general, not your own experience, but in general.
I really had a blessed life, and I mean, people around me have had a blessed life. Yes, everyone's had times when the work is slow, or you've had times when maybe you're writing and you're not getting anywhere. So there, I'm not saying that it's been a cakewalk. After Kapoor and Sons, a lot of pressure because we delivered a film that was so unanimously loved. So there was a pressure to deliver again. But then there was also the pressure that we wanted to do something which we knew would have polarized reactions. And we've had such dramatically polarized reactions. We've had the same publication, like let's say a Quint, where one reviewer has loved it and one has hated it. We've had Film Companion, where we've had two who've loved it, one who's been all right with it. So we've had, and we were very aware when we were doing the subject that it would happen that way. So yes, there are pressures because you're taking chances. And at the end of the day, we all know that where, at least with writers, directors, you're as good as your last film. Kapoor and Sons did well. We got a lot of love, but so it was that thing about delivering. And by the grace of God, with Gehraiyaan, we've simmered and stirred up so many conversations that the film has kind of stayed with people. So we feel very, very blessed, but not so many challenges otherwise. Quite a happy life.
So how long did it take you guys to develop Gehraiyaan? Like, when was the first thought that came in your mind or his mind?
We averagely take 2 years. We averagely take 2 years from the beginning till we start shooting. The first few months, like I said, we go for lunches and dinners and we sit at each other's houses and we fight. We fight a lot. Chakun and me scream at each other. Sometimes my husband has to intervene and be like, I'll throw you all both out of the house if you all don't shut up. Because we're fighters. Because I feel like only when you're really invested in something do you fight. And that's when we know that we're both invested in the script, when we go at each other and we scream and we shout and we cry. A lot of drama involved. That's why our films are so dramatic. But at the end of the day, it's about telling a story, putting out your characters. And for me, it's just about that creative satisfaction when you feel when the whole film is done, you know. And I, as a writer, feel very blessed because I have that relationship with Chakun from my first film, where he kind of keeps me involved in the entire film. So it's not just like other films where you can write and you give a script and the writer's done with. Where here, I go on set, I visit the edit room on and off. You know, he keeps me in the loop with everything. That's why this film, I was really blessed. He gave me a credit of a creative supervisor as well. So it was fun. I've had a good time.
Have you guys been writing something right now? Are you guys working on any project or nothing?
I'll kill him, he'll kill me. We are not those people who have 10 stories in our bank already. Not at all. We finish, We take 2 months where we just relax. And after 2 months, we get our thinking cap back on. See, the thing is, for me, no, I'm not in so much into writing remakes and things like that. All our stories have been original stories. Each character has been written, created, fleshed out, and that takes a lot from you. So I feel like you need that downtime to be able to just clear your mind. Also, you need to look at the film that has released. When any film, whether it was Ek Main Tu, Kapoor and Sons, or Gehraiyaan, only after a couple of months can you watch it objectively and say, okay, I could have done that differently. Or maybe if I had done that. And it's not the success of the film or the failure that teaches you. It's just the fact that a little distance from the film sometimes gives you perspective. So you also want to get that perspective before you jump in and start writing your next. So you can avoid things that maybe you could have avoided in the present one. So 2 months break.
Okay, that's great. Okay, so how did you start, your journey as a hairstylist? When did you know that you should make your career in hairstyling?
Let me tell you, people don't tell silly teenagers that what decisions they make in their teenage years will affect their whole life. I was in St. Xavier's College, and I was doing my BA, and I remember my parents were very keen that I studied further. And I was certain I didn't care about academics. It was the last in my list. I wasn't bad, but I didn't care about it. For me, it was always about having fun. That was my criteria. Never work, just fun was my criteria. So I remember I was in my TY and I'd gone for a haircut to a salon called Nalini and Yasmin. And all the stylists there were like listening to music and cutting hair and laughing and chitter chatter. And I was like, wow, this looks like a really fun profession. And I went back home and told my parents, I think I want to do this. And they were like, no, you have to study. And I was like, but I'm done studying. So then they were like, do one thing, you do well in your TY. So you prove to us you're not doing this as an escape. You do well in your TY, then you take up whatever you want. I studied my butt off for my TY, and I came first in the university in economics and commerce. And after that, I joined Nalini Yasmin, not really knowing what I wanted to do, but it seemed like it was fun. And I did have a lot of fun the first 2 years. I went to London for advanced courses. I had to Vidal Sassoon. I had a great time. Took part in some L'Oreal competition, came first in West India. So it was I had a great time. And then along the way, I got my first break, Jaane Tu Ya Jaane Na, because my best friend's ex-husband was working on the film. And I got my break through that to do his hair. And that was it. From there, I met Shakun and life took another turn altogether.
So the very first film as a hairstylist, you became friends with Shakun, and then you suddenly became a writer. Wow, that's
a few years later. Became a writer a few years later, but yes. We became friends and and I remember when we wrote our first script and we gave the first draft to my mom to read. My mom is an avid reader. My mom read it and she said, Ayesha, let Shakun go. He has no other career option. You do. The script is awful. And I remember crying and saying, oh my God, mom, that's so mean. But I needed that reality check. We wrote and we rewrote because we were kids, back then. We were in our early 20s and we didn't know what we were. Today I'm 39, it's been a long time, and we wrote and we rewrote and we got into a place that Karan loved it. And our film got made, and Shakun also, like I said, he has no filmy background. So my friend Avantika is the one who had taken the film at that time to Karan. And one thing led to another and here we are today.
How was the response for Gehraiyaan? Did you get calls after the film was released to, praise your work and your writing?
I was telling people that with Kapoor and Sons, I knew that the film was unanimously loved because every review had given us a 4-star review and etc. etc. And whenever I met someone and I got introduced and said, oh, she's the writer of Kapoor and Sons, people would go gaga and gush about the film. With this film, weirdly so, I've got messages from people who I've not spoken to in 15 years, telling me across the world, because I guess the OTT platform gives you that visibility, telling me how much they connected with the film. And I've had on groups where people are fighting about the film and arguing about it. And I'm just like, guys, I'm on this group. And there are like 20 people who loved it and 10 who were not too sure, 5 who were offended somewhere. So it's been insane because everyone's talking about it. So I've never had that experience where a film has stirred up so many emotions, whatever they may be. I go to breakfast, I feel like 4 tables are talking about it. I feel awkward. I kind of feel like, oh my God, they were talking about my movie. So, I mean, and when people come up to me like, oh, I saw Gehraiyaan, I take a second to be like, oh, are they going to yell at me or are they going to love it? Touch wood, most of them have loved it. Some may not have connected with it, but at the end of the day, that's art, right? Art doesn't appeal to everyone. You know, it sometimes it disturbs people, sometimes it appeals to people, sometimes it excites people. So I mean, that's the beauty of art. And I think with Gehraiyaan, we always wanted to push the envelope, and I think we did. And I feel very proud of that and blessed both.
So with two different, careers, one as a hairstylist, one as a writer. So, are you mostly at work, or do you get enough time, at home? Or are you away from home whenever the shoot is happening, or because you have to be
So
on
with,
sets?
yeah. No, so but the way it works is for hairstyling, whenever there's an ad or an event or those one-day things, then I go myself. And for film, I create a look and my team travels. So for film, I'm not on set every day, which gives me the leeway to sit at home and write. You know, and I'm a multitasker. I can be like writing and coordinating my child's basketball and figuring out my husband something. I'm a multitasker.
I think every woman is a multitasker. Yesterday I
It
was
is.
talking to
It's a
Shweta Venkat.
forte. It's a forte, multitasking. And I joke with Shakun. Shakun keeps saying, I said, with Ananya also, I remember I style her hair. And when Shakun, we wanted to cast for this film, Shakun had not seen much of her work. And he was like, what do you think? And I was like, trust me, she's really talented. And I feel like this movie she'd be great for it. And the funny thing is, because I work so intimately with these actresses, sometimes you get to know different sides of them that a layman wouldn't know. So, I mean, Ananya met Shakun and they got along like a house on fire. And the next thing we knew, she was cast. So, yeah, I keep teasing her, saying, while doing your hair, I said, now we have a movie together. So, yay. Worked well.
Yeah, that's exactly my point. I was just talking about, like, as a woman, we do wonders in our work life, but at the same time, everything about our house, our family, our kids, everything is always running in our head, and we always
It's
have
very
things.
organized. See my house, it's very organized. I'm extremely organized. My kid doesn't suffer. Yes, I'm not apologetic when I'm working. And that's something I taught my child from the day he was born. I remember when he was really young once and he was like, Mom, you've gone to work 3 days in a row. And I said, Dad goes every day. Do you ever crib? And he said, no. And I said, well, then Mommy and Daddy are doing the same thing, which is providing a living, right? And not just providing a living. I try to explain to him that my work, it's one side of me that I enjoy. It's mine. Everything else, I feel in life you're sharing. You're always you're filling in so many roles and so many responsibilities, which very often are responsibilities. Where your work is concerned, it's something that is yours. That I feel very proud of my work. Whether tomorrow it does well or not, I give my 200%, and it's something that is mine. So I explained that to him from a very young age. And today I feel like, touch wood, he's so proud. Sometimes he comes on my sets, my child, and says, Mom, you don't work, you only eat and chill with all your friends. And I'm like, that's what shooting is, darling. You eat, you laugh, and you have a little fun. So yeah, it's about explaining to your family and having them understand you and support you, because without that, let me tell you, the journey could be very tough and different. Today, I had my husband, Ajit, is so supportive. My parents, I mean, sometimes if I'm working, my child will happily go to my parents' house for 2-3 days, for the weekend. He has a great time in his nana nannies. So at the end of the day, it's about having that support. As a woman, I think you need that to be able to give you the confidence to be able to do it without any guilt.
Yeah, you're very lucky to have such parents, or even your child understanding you and your profession at such a young age. But I don't think every woman is that blessed,
No.
because a lot of them are fighting to be where they
100%.
are, because they're always expected to equally be part of the housework as much as they are of outside work. Like, nobody really gives importance. There's always this one thing कि क्या office इतना important है कि तुम घर भूल जाओगे. That thing always comes in every woman's
100%.
face.
100%. So I feel like, for me at least, what I tell people is, from the beginning, set the rules right. When your child is born, if you have given up your job for 3, 4, 5 years, and then you decide to go back to work, it might be tougher for you. From the beginning, balance it. Everything is about balance. Don't neglect anything. To me, at the end of the day, I'm okay letting go of a job sometimes if there's a priority, which is more important. Today, let's say I've got a hair assignment and I know it's coinciding with my husband's birthday. I'm okay rejecting it and not taking it up. Money isn't everything in life. It's about balancing things out. And not just for the good times, also for the bad times. Sometimes people are going through a rough time, your friends, your family. You want to be able to, at the end of the day, I think when you're lying on your deathbed, no one's going to be talking about how much work you did or what kind of work you did. They'll be talking about the kind of person you are. So for me, living a life of kindness is of, utmost importance. I put it before everything else. Before my work, before my family, is just being kind. I can't stress more on that because I feel like if everyone was a little kinder, life would be so much better. So yeah, that's my advice. Just be kind and work hard and you'll find your way, and good things always happen to good people. Maybe late sometimes, but they do. Good things also happen to bad people, but we have no control over that. Good for them.
Yeah. With all the work, be it hairstyling or you have to take care of your team there, and then you have to take care of your writing, and then you have to take care of your family, like lots of responsibilities, So have you ever gone to that point, kya bahut ho gaya, I cannot do any of it, now I need a break. I need some time for
No, I
myself.
want more. I want to do more.
Okay.
I've not reached there yet.
There's
I
nothing like
want to.
me time for you.
There is me time, but I find it in pockets. And that's the thing. I feel like it's important to find those pockets. There is a day off when, let's say, I don't have work and I've spent enough time with my child, when I might send my child off to my parents' house anyway for the day and spend the day watching Netflix or Amazon or Hotstar all day long, I could spend the day shopping. I could spend the day with my girlfriends. For me, I prioritize every aspect of my life. I never want to look back and say, oh, I wish I had spent more time doing this. I want to be able to say I did it all. Like that's what everyone hopes for, right? To be able to kind of like balance everything out. Sometimes may not be being on the top of your game. I'm okay with that. I don't care about being number 1 or number 2 or number 3. I just want to be happy. I want to be happy. I want to do good work. I'm happy where I am in my hairstyling career. I'm really happy where I am in my writing career. I'm thrilled where I am in my family life. So I feel like I think the real aim or goal in life is happiness. And because you can have anything else, but if you're not happy, what's the point, So as a woman, I think that first keep making sure that you are happy is your priority, because when you are happy, you can keep everyone else happy.
Yeah, I think that's the one mistake that a lot of people do. They always care about the other people and then they don't really care for themselves, and eventually
100%. When I had my child, very often people would ask me that, oh, your child follows your schedule. There are days when if it's a weekend, my child sleeps at 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock. And I said, you know what, that's my style of parenting. For me, my child is part of my life. My child is not a separate entity. So what happens is when you start to obsess about your child or your husband or your work and treat them separate from yourself, then at some point you will resent it, or you'll get overwhelmed by it, or you'll maybe feel like at some point you'll snap. But for me, because everything is a part of my life that I've kind of integrated into my life, I enjoy it all the more, So I feel like that's something that women can the more you integrate it, I think the easier it becomes. The more you separate it, you always are told to then prioritize one over the other.
It was really great talking to you, because when we interview, it starts like a very formal way. It really gets time it's a chance for us also to make people.
I'm a chatterbox.
I'm glad you are, because I really like having this fun interviews where we are talking and expressing ourselves rather than being a journalist and a guest who are talking.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, so this is really fun, and thank you so much.
Thank you so much for
having me. I'm very happy Women's Day to you.
You too.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Have a great day. And please stay in touch. Maybe we can have more interviews when you write, more stuff.
Many more things coming your way. Okay.
Thank you so much. Give me exclusive interviews then.
Done. 100%. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Have a good day.